Okay, Shalom Ubracha. Nice to be back. Shechenu v'kimanu, Chicago. Baruch Hashem. We have to start off with a joke as usual. So the joke is like this: that a wife calls her husband, and he says, "Yes, dear." She says, "Hi, honey. Please tell me a joke." And he says, "Honey, I'm in the middle of kollel now. What have a joke?" And she says, "Right now, okay. Tell me another joke, please." Baruch Hashem. Simcha. Okay. So before we start, just a perspective of what's happened. The world has been a bit shaken this past over a month already. It's been over a month. So many Rabbanim are giving hashkafic perspectives of what to do. For sure, there's an abundance of tshuva and davening and tzedakah and all these things that we know we're doing. But there's also a message here that from Rabbi Nachman's teachings, you can see something clearly. It's 1 second here. The broadcast is not it's not connecting. Unbelievable. 1 second. Okay, we lost it. So what's a hashkafic thing to take a look when you see what happened here? Just going back to the incident, it took place on Simchas Torah, and when in Simchas Torah, mamash. When you hear the stories of what happened, 6:30 in the morning, 6:35. You hear the people that they're telling that by the kibbutzim and by that festival, the Nova festival, 6:30. That is Be'er B'derech Klal. What was that time? That was Netz. Netz in Yerushalayim on Simchas Torah 6:36. The time that the Arabs, these Mechablim came in was around the time of Netz. Okay, what's the idea of that? On one point, Hoshana Rabbah, the Ben Ish Chai says, is the culmination. It's not just the Ben Ish Chai, it's Chazal also. Hoshana Rabbah is Hosha Na, save on behalf of Na. Na means please, it's a supplication, but Na is also Gematria 51. What's 51? From Rosh Chodesh Elul till Hoshana Rabbah is exactly 51 days. So the culmination of all the avodah of Elul, which is by the Sfardim, for example, the extra slichot from Rosh Chodesh, and by everybody, more tehillim, more tshuva, more tzedakah, ktiva b'chatima tova, mechil, if I did something, all the extra learning and the amiris, if it's tikkunei zohar and all the sfardim that the people do, okay? Then Rosh Hashanah, where Rosh Hashanah is, if you're a tzaddik, it's la'alter l'chaim. If it's a rasha, la'alter l'mavet. If it's a benoni, he's given until Yom Kippur. But all of them were given until when it's called the ptakim are issued. The ptakim, when the actual Beit Din Shalmala issues now officially, okay, let it go and be done. That's on Hoshana Rabbah. So the minhag on Hoshana Rabbah, people wear the kittel, extra davening, Hoshanot Hakafot 7 times, up all night saying Tehillim, saying Mishnah Torah, and it's a day of trepidation in a sense, okay? So Hoshana Rabbah is a day of sealing off, what we began already from Rosh Chodesh Elul. And then on the night of Simchat Torah, the Hasidic Sfarim say, when you finish Hashem Elokechem Emet of the Kriyat Shema of Mariv, and as soon as you say Ve'emunah, that's when your Parnasa for the whole year is already declared on that. So the night of Simchat Torah, Hoshana Rabbah, that's when the year technically is like, the beginning point is after that. The year starts technically on the morning, the day of Simchat Torah. We start off the year of a boom of Simcha. On the night also there's Simcha, there's dancing, but the day part is the technical, now the beginning point, okay? So what's interesting is on a day that's supposed to be one of the happiest days on the year, Rabbi Nachman, he once told his disciple Rav Nosson, did you dance the Simchas Torah? Did you feel the Simcha of dancing? And he said about himself, I was so happy this year in Simchas Torah. Rabbi Nachman said about himself that I even danced by myself in my room. I was dancing. So Rav Nosson says, if you think about it, it's true that the Simcha that we dance on Simchas Torah is the Simcha of Yiddishkeit, that we appreciate that we have a value. As a Yid, we have an eternal value. As opposed to people who live for Olam Hazeh, that's all dead end, it's all empty, has no value in itself. As Yidin, where we connect this world to a true purpose, which is Olam HaEmet, Olam Haba, everything has value, everything is amazing. And for that, it's Ra'ui, it's fitting that a Yid is B'simcha. And he said, that's the idea of being happy on Simchas Torah. I'm dancing with the Torah, that I have such an amazing chelik in this part of creation. Hashem has made me a part in the purpose of creation. I have what to be happy about. So it's a day of great simcha. And instead of the simcha this year, extreme pain, extreme misery that happened. People found out already. We, for example, in Nasharim, we daven nets, and we were dancing so loud, we didn't hear the sirens. We didn't even hear the sirens. We didn't hear the missiles. We didn't hear anything because we were dancing a lot. There were sirens. People woke up with the sirens, whatever. But we heard nothing. And afterwards, this and that, the Zaka guy got information, etc. Everyone heard from if it's the Goyish police officer or whatever, the word got out on already Shabbos or Sunday, okay? So first point, that the Simchas Torah was dented, okay? Number two, the first thing we heard about, the first thing that got the people were those teenagers, those poor teenagers, 3,000 at this concert. Most of them, Tinokot Shenishba, born not from, never knowing what true simcha is, and because they're looking for simcha in another format, if it's drugs, chas shalom, if it's a concert, whatever, and also those who were born from and fell off, there were a lot of those, they're also Shem Rachem. Also, they never had true simcha. All the Yiddishkeit was always do this, do that, whatever, and it was a tough attitude, which causes many people who were brought up even from to fall off because there's no simcha, there's no ahava in the kesh of the Yiddishkeit. So why should they stay? Like Rashi says, someone who serves out of yirah, you push him a little, he's buoyant. He says, I don't need this. If now it's just toughness and rigidness and pain and suffering, we can't handle this. We look elsewhere, chas v'shalom. Number three, what happened? The hostages, something crazy. When leaving Eretz Yisrael now from Natbag to New York, so the airport is like very empty. And the ramp, the famous ramp for departures and arrivals, right? So the ramp going to departures, they filled literally the whole walkway with the pictures of the hostages. So how could you not cry? Everyone was like sad. You're walking and you see all the faces, so you're for sure broken, right? Okay. So the hostages. Now in Parshat Kitavo with the 98 klalot, forgive me if I don't remember the exact lashon, but you have there from the klalot, Banecha uvnotecha, right? Bashivya, exact the pasuk, please mechir mocha if I don't remember the exact lashon. But hostages are taken. That's a klalot and the 98 klalot. Now in Parshat Kitavo, when it says the klalot, it says, why will this happen to you? Tachat asher lo avadta Hashem elokecha besimcha. Again, simcha. It doesn't say you're getting punished because you didn't serve Hashem, period. It says because you didn't serve Hashem besimcha. When the Litvaks ask mitzvah gedola besimcha, where Rabbi Nachman, where does it say it's a big mitzvah to be besimcha? We can't target mitzvahs. I don't see not once that it say mitzvah gedola to be besimcha. So he's medayik in his lashon mitzvah gedola. You have stam mitzvot which are very big. There's Taryag 613 stam mitzvot, but a mitzvah gedola is like a cup containing all the other ones, which is hinted to in Parshat Kitavo. Tachat asher lo avata Hashem elokecha besimcha. That's the cup for all the other Taryag mitzvot. It's a mitzvah gdola. Okay? Fine. From this, you can piece together what happened, why it happened, if you want to say, or at least, if I don't know why, what I'm supposed to do now. What's the message that I'm supposed to pick up? To be atzvis, to be sad, for sure there's no mitzvah at all. He explains with Nosen that the essence of galut is atzvut. And the goyim, when they want to attack the Yidden, the one thing they have in mind is to bring them down. A stupid Arab who takes the Facebook of the lady and in front of her grandchildren, they're killing the grandmother, Shem Rachem, right? They're doing atrocities. So they want them to see. Why? Why do they want to inflict the pain? To make them worried and sad. That's the whole thing. The goal of why the Nazis also, they tried to, it wasn't just to kill the Yidden, but to make them feel miserable, to bring down their morale, right? To give them a number, they're not a human being anymore, to break them. Why to break them morally? Not just to kill them, in order to bring them to Atzvut. Because the essence of Galut and the Goyim in Galut is Atzvut. And us as Yidden, our essence is Simcha. So therefore, when being attacked and this, and what happened this year pulled the rug under everybody's feet. It came so unexpected, but the thing is, how fast you get back up, number one, and using what happened to push you forward in simcha. We're not talking about, okay, forget about it, like we'll continue as if nothing happened. No, we're not continuing as if nothing happened. We're continuing because of what happened. I'm continuing now even stronger now. You want to break me? You're not going to break me. We're going to go forward now. When what? Dafka simcha, okay? So if you want, this is one of the ways to look in a positive vein, what happened, how to use it. Now, of course, we're davening more. There's more concern and everything, but worry has no place at all, and sadness for sure has no place at all. Especially as Rav Nosson says something amazing. He says one of the ultimate levels of simcha of a yid is that we're able to look at the ultimate future. Meaning, if now, with through everything that's happening in your life, you know that in the end, Bayom Ahu Yashem Echad U'Shmo Echad, if you know and you believe that in the end everything's going to work out, this film of 6,000 years, I mean maximum 6,000 years, from the time of creation until the final end of this leg of the creation, 6,000 years. If you know that in the end there's going to be Tchat HaMetim, there's going to be Sachar and Onesh at the ultimate level, and all the good that people suffered for and everything will be rewarded, right? Those who suffered in toiling for serving Hashem will come back, will reap the profits. If everything's going to work out in the end, so why are you crying now? Why are you so broken now? The person, his lifespan, maximum 120 years, maximum. In a film, a reel of 6,000 years. It's like a little million, a second of a second on this film of 6,000 years, okay? If what you're going through now, you connect it to the ultimate future, okay? Then you have a nechama. You have a nechama. But when you look at things just now, the present, for sure it hurts. Oh, he's going through chas v'shalom, a difficulty in marriage, or children problems, or health issues, and this. When you look at it in itself, it hurts. But when you look at it in vain, that everything's going to work out. Just from now to there, that's the how to get there. But it's going to happen, and you just need an emunah and bitachon that it's going to happen. So be'emet, you have nothing to really worry about, because you know ultimately it's going to work out. There's a story I tell over again and again and again, and it's an amazing story. I heard it from someone who heard it from this lady. There was a lady who went through Auschwitz with her daughter, and they survived the whole thing together from beginning to end, which is very rare. The chances of that happening is very rare. And she was a frum lady. They asked her, how did this happen? What was the secret here? So she said, as soon as she arrived in Auschwitz, she started cracking up. She started laughing. You know, you see the chimneys of the burning of the bodies, and everyone's in a miserable setup and every setting. What are you cracking up? So she said that the Nazis didn't touch her. They thought she was like, you know, hooji booji. They were scared to deal with her when they saw that she's cracking up. This lady, what's going on? She was laughing and laughing and laughing. So they didn't touch her. They left her there, but they didn't touch her. They didn't do anything bad, not necessarily. And then they asked her, and why did you laugh? What are you laughing at? You see people dying and this and that. She was laughing because it's so obvious that these idiots are going to pay for it. It's so obvious that Hitler Yamach and all these going, you're doing bad and you think you're going to get away with it. You have to be stupid. You have to be mamash an idiot to think that you're going to do wrong and it's going to work out. Come on. You're going to pay it for. I'm not going to pay it for. You're going to pay the price. So it's a laugh. We have the last laugh. So she said that's why she was laughing. And that's how a yid, be'emet, what he's going through, when a person is going through major crazy things in life, his nechama, one of the greatest nechamas, Rav Nosson says, is this technique of training your mind to connect to the future. That you know in the end, like in a way you do a type of a bitul. Hashem, I'm all yours. I'm letting go. Guide me, and I know that it's going to work out. I'm in your hands. With that attitude, you can draw a nechama from the future into the present. That's one of the reasons why it's called the Geula Shlema. What do you mean Geula Shlema? It's so shalom, like candles. You know, you have a candle. You can light with one candle another 100,000 candles, and the light is not diminished. So too, the Geula Shlema is so shalem that it has power to shoot even personal redemptions to the present. This is where Rabbi Nachman teaches one of his lessons, lesson 250, that when Hashem wants to save a person, whatever he needs salvation in, he sends him a Yeshua from the future, from the ultimate Geulah, into the present. That's how we connect with Hashem. So this just in a nutshell of a different perspective, a Breslover perspective of what happens, what's happening now, and what we can do to fix the situation, to work on an improvement. What was the message? It's pretty obvious. Simcha Torah, the simcha they were looking for, the hostages were tachat Hashem lo avat Hashem b'simcha. So there is a kind of remez, if you like to say, that simcha here is what has to be focused on. Okay, this is one thing I wanted to start off with, B'ezrat Hashem. Now the main topic of the class, B'ezrat Hashem. the Torah as we know it is divided in 4 sections: Pshat, Remez, Drash, Sod. Okay, Pshat, as we know, Pshat is the Torah Shebe'al Peh, Torah Shebechtav, all the basic laws of the Torah, all the understanding of the Pshat, all the Sfarim that are on Rishonim, Achronim, to open up Shulchan Aruch and Gemara, which is the main learning of Torah, basically, that takes up the most space of Torah study, is a Pshat. Remez, Remazim, that you see an indication of a connection of points, but it's not 100% revealed, but it's out there and you can see it. That's Remez. Drash, a Darshan, where he tries to dig deep in the Torah to bring out something that's hidden there, an idea, a moralistic idea that's hidden there, but has to be dug open to bring it out. That's the idea of Drash. And Sod, the secrets of the Kabbalah, which deal with the secrets of the creation, which is like a big, vast picture. It's like heavy, bulky. It's a big bulk and heavy in mass. That's the idea of Sod. Okay? So in the Kabbalah, they say that these 4 levels of the Torah are hinted to in the 4 letters of Hashem's name, Yud Ke Vav Ke, with Yud being the highest level of Sod. The first Hey is the Drash, Vav is the Remez, and the Hey, the last Hey, which is closest to this world, is the Pshat. Okay? They also say in Sfarim that the 4 Galuyot of Am Yisrael, the Galut of Mitzrayim, the Galut of Bavel, Yavan, and now Edom, also correspond to the 4 levels of the Torah. What does that mean? That means, for example, Mitzrayim, where the Yidden were going through Meitzar, there was a tightness, and Torah was needed. A light of Torah was needed to get the Yidden out, which was the eventual Har Sinai Kabbalat Torah. The Yidden back then, in the time of Mitzrayim, were at such a high level that the Pshat was enough to give them chayut and strength to combat the difficulties of the Galut of Mitzrayim, the Lashon of Meitzar, of being tight and squeezed. The Pshat was strong enough, even though only Pshat, it's strong enough to give chayut and consolation and koach to go on. Fine. Bavel, which is from Lashon, like Rashi says, it's bilbul, bilbel et hakol. Rashi, if you remember, Parshat Noach, why is it called Bavel? Bilbel et hakol, okay? Balal et hakol. But Rashi says Bavel, one of the roots of Bavel is bilbul, which means a confusion in the mind. So the next stage of Galut was severe. In other words, there's levels. The levels of the Arba Galuyot was in order to reveal a greater depth that was always there in the Torah, but now to bring it out, lemaise. So the second Galut of Bavel, which caused a bilbul, a confusion, taking the Yidden, kicking them out of Eretz Yisrael. It was enough that they came from Mitzrayim to Eretz Yisrael, but now going out, and Nebuchadnezzar, who mixed up the whole world, bilbel, okay? So what was needed was the second level of the Torah to give chayut and chizuk to the Yidden. That was the idea of Remez. Where the Pshat now wasn't enough to give them koach, proof being that the sins of the Yidden in the first Galut of Mitzrayim, which is up to the Chorban Bayit Rishon, it wasn't enough to help them to keep the Bayit Rishon. In other words, they were falling in Averot. They're falling from their level, which caused the Chorban and the Galut. So the meaning, another depth of Torah was needed to enhance the Yiddishkeit of the Jews in the second Galut, and that's the level of Remez. Yavan, which is connected to Bir Chanukah coming up. Yavan is milashon Yeven Metzula, quicksand. That you're standing in a spot, but it's like in Mitzrayim where they're squeezing you. You're in one spot, but you're sinking. Help, you're sinking, and you have a panic here. Okay? Meaning that as strong as the Torah revelation of Pshat and Remez is, and it was enough for those generations of Yidden to handle, by Yavan, Drash was needed, which in fact, the time of the Midrashim is it started from the time of the Yevanim. After the Yevanim and the Galut Edom, that's the beginning of the Chidushim of the Drash, of the Midrashim, where Drash now is giving a ethical, moral perspective, but strong, that digging in to bring it out. That's the Galut of Yavan. And now finally, this last Galut of Edom. Edom on one hand means red, but also Edom has the same grammatical shorish as medame, koach medame, which means the faculty of the imagination is distorted. As opposed to Bavel, which is a bilbul, which is confusion. Here in medame, where the imagination shows things as they not really are, oh my God, he's gonna kill me. Like something like no one's gonna touch you, but you feel there's an enemy here, there's an enemy there, and a person creates scenarios that are not actually there. This is the galut of Edom. They say in scientific world that the most comfortable color is green, and the most panicky color is red. Edom. Okay, to combat the level of Edom is Sod, which is why the revelation of the Zohar, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, took place in this final galut of Edom. The Arizal, with revelations of the Kabbalah, is this final stretch of Edom. Okay, fine. However, there's a fifth level of the Torah, the highest level. The Zohar calls this the level of the Keter. And this is the Keter is at the end of the galut of Edom, when now the Yidden have been exhausted and drained after 4 galuyot, and even with the big revelations of the Kabbalah, still Yidden have fallen. And now, for example, these past 250 years, where we see that the majority of Am Yisrael are totally detached. There's assimilation. The majority of Jews don't even know what Kriyat Shema is, what is to say a bracha, nothing. Empty. We're still far. There's many Jews who are from now, Baruch Hashem, it's growing, but the makkah that we've been hit with these past 250 years, they say like this, that the Midrash says that when Esav, last week's parsha, Yikrevu Yemei Evel Avi, let my father Yitzchak Avinu pass away, and then I'll go and kill Yaakov, right? So the Midrash says that Paro said about Esav, you're stupid, you're an idiot. You wait, you say I'm going to wait for my father to pass on, and then I'm going to go and kill Yaakov. But in the meantime, Yaakov becomes 12 tribes. There's a family, there's mishpacha, there's grandchildren. You have more work to do. So Pharaoh said, I'm not going to wait. He told the midwives, right? U'item ala ovnaim. You see, when the woman's giving birth, if it's a boy, v'hamiten oto, and v'chol habat techayun. If it's a daughter, keep her alive. If it's a son, right? So then Haman comes along and he says about Paro, you're stupid. You kill only the boys. What, a girl is not a Jew? A Jewish woman who has children, even from a goy, they're not Jewish? Of course they're Jewish. What does it help your decree, Pharaoh, to kill only the boys? How about the girls? Me, Haman said, I'm going to kill everybody. The man, the woman, the children. Okay? And it didn't work. So Gog comes along and Gog says, Haman, you're stupid. You think by attacking the physical corpses of the bodies of the Yidden, you can do away with them? So long as they're connected with a cord to Avim Shabbat with Hashem, you can't do away with them. What am I going to do? I'm going to sever the connection between Am Yisrael and Hashem, and then I can do away with them. So the Midrash finishes off that Hashem says to Gog, you want to fight against me? You want to separate? No problem. Come to Eretz Yisrael. And that's what it says. Gog will come to Eretz Yisrael, and here he suffers his downfall. What's interesting from the Midrash is that Gog, which is probably Google, Gog is Google today, okay? Gog, the attack of Gog is on the religion itself. Even though Yavan also was on the religion, no Shabbos, no Brit Milah, but still the Yidden were holding on to their Yesodot of Yiddishkeit, even of the Greeks and everything. But Gog, he's going into the mind of the Jew to convince him that Yiddishkeit doesn't have to be this way, you can change it and alter it and then sever it totally, okay? Based on this, Rav Nosson received from Rabbi Nachman what's called Megillat Setarim. These are secrets he revealed. Rabbi Nachman revealed to 2 people only, Rav Nosson and Naftali, what's going to happen until Mashiach comes. And he told him only 2 people per generation are allowed to know about this. So meaning, of you 2, whoever passes on first, the second one can reveal to somebody else. That's what happened. Rav Nosson passed away in 1844. Rav Naftali, who lived an extra 20 years later, he revealed it to another chassid. His name was Rav Aaron Lipovetsker. And then when Rav Naftali passed away, this Aaron Lipovetsker revealed it to another chassid, Avram Rav Nachman. Avram Rav Nachman is the only one who, to remember these things, he wrote it down for himself in Rashi Prakim, so you shouldn't forget the details, because there are many details in this Megillat Setarim, okay? And today, nobody knows who has it. He passed away in 1917, Rav Avram Rav Nachman, and he was very good in keeping a secret. He knew how to keep his mouth quiet. So no one knows if he revealed it, who, and if even. We don't even know. So today, no one knows what happened to it. There's copies of this manuscript, but no one understands what's written on it. Some professor in Yerushalayim, He tried to make a book opening it up, but it's all just theoretical. No one knows. However, Rav Nosson did say something about this. Rav Nosson said that in this Megillat Setarim, the Rabbi Nachman didn't mention anything about the war of Gog and Magog. So he said he understood that we're already in the middle of the war of Gog and Magog, with the beginning of the Reform movement, the Maskilim, the Enlightened movement, where now there's an attack on Yiddishkeit itself. You know, the founders of Reform, Mendelssohn and this guy Naftali Herz-Wiesel, these people were big shots. They were. I'm not going to say it, but they were Talmidei Chachamim, but in a negative sense. They knew Shas. They were the top Lamdanim in their time, but they used the Torah to prove against it. There's nothing more dangerous. Bringing rayas from the Torah, why not to follow the Torah? Why, yes, assimilation is good, to be Meir Bagoim. It's scary when you have someone who knows the ideas and then to use that to go against, that was really bad, okay? So we're in Gog and Magog already. To think, oh my God, there's going to be Armageddon, and there's going to be war and blood. We have a Kabbalah from the Psukim and Nevi'im that Mashiach will come through Simcha. Ki besimcha tetzeu. Right? The pasuk says ki besimcha tetzeu, which the translation is normally that when Mashiach comes, when there'll be the Geulah, besimcha. It's going to happen with simcha. But Rav Nosson says, don't read it with simcha, read it besimcha, through simcha. Through simcha tetzeu. There'll be such a simcha by the goyim. As yomu bagoyim, higdel Hashem lasot imele, higdel Hashem lasot imanu. The goyim will say about themselves, hayinu smechim. The goyim are going to be happy. With such an abundance of simcha, they're going to bring by hand every yid back to Eretz Yisrael. So what we're seeing of war and battle, that's not yet the sign of Mashiach. Sign of Mashiach will be immense simcha. Give simcha tetzeu. That's the prerequisite, B'ezrat Hashem. But going back to what we're saying before, the matzav that we're in now is very hard. That even pshat, remez, drash, sod is not enough. You have pockets of yidden here and there. You have koililim, yeshivas, batei midrashim. You have some gachelet, some fire. But how about everybody else? What, they can go rot chas v'shalom? The yidden who are not religious, shalom alay nafshi, I'm doing something. It's with my aspiration that my Torah and mitzvot will influence them. But in the meantime, it's not moving. There are yidden that the ratio is very far. It's not moving in ratio that if my Torah and mitzvot is to affect them because of our arevut, but I don't see it moving. What's going on? So the Zohar talks about this fifth level of the Torah, which we said earlier, the 4 levels are hinted in Yud K Vav K. A sofer, when he writes the Yud of Yud K Vav K, he has to make a kotz. It's called kotza deot Yud. When a sofer makes a Yud, so there's the roof of the Yud, and then it goes down, right? Under the roof, the beginning point of the roof has to make a little line down. It's called kotza deot Yud. You can't make it too long, because then the ot will look like a chet, and that's a problem. But it's little tiny kotz going down from the roof of the Yud. This, the Zohar says, is the 5th level of the Torah. It's called the level of the Keter. What is this the idea of the Keter? This Keter accesses the highest level of existence. It's called the Ein Sof, Hashem himself. There's a level of Torah which is kept by Hashem himself. This is the level of Ein Sof. To explain all this better is the opening of Midrash Rabbah. Midrash Rabbah, which is an amazing sefer, by the way. The Sfarim that say like this: the Zohar was opened by the Arizal. The Arizal opened up the secrets of the Zohar. And how about the secrets in the Midrash? So they say Mashiach is the one who's going to open up the secrets in the Midrash. You hear that? Midrash, in a sense, has a higher power in depth that Mashiach is the one who's going to open up. So just going back, Midrash Rabbah, Hoshaya Rabbah, author of Midrash Rabbah, who by the way is buried next to Pekin. If you're ever in Eretz Yisrael, there's a Me'ara called the Me'ara of Rabbi Hoshaya Rabbah, author of the Midrash Rabbah. So he starts off like this, in explaining the greatness of the Torah. He brings a famous pasuk from Mishlei, chapter 7, Mishlei, Va'eheye etzlo amon. The Torah, Shlomo Melech is writing in Mishlei that the Torah is saying about itself, Va'eheye etzlo amon. The Torah is saying, Hashem used me. I was eheye, I the Torah, etzlo amon. I was by Hashem, amon. What's this word amon? Okay, the Midrash brings 5 explanations on this word amon. 4 similar ones, and the 5th one in a different ballgame. The 4 ones, it comes to say are levels of the Torah showing that Hashem kept this by him. So the Midrash says like this. First level of Ammon is called pedagog. We'll go into this. Second one is called mechuseh. Third one mutzna. And the fourth one is called rabeta. So the Midrash goes to prove from Psukim, showing a similarity. For example, by Moshe Rabbeinu, we're in Parashat Baalotcha, where the Jews are asking for meat. We want meat. Mi achilenu basar. All we have is manna in the morning, manna in the evening. Everything's manna, manna, manna. We want meat. We miss the meat. Okay. So then Moshe Rabbeinu is what want me to do? And if you ask me Hashem, why am I complaining? Because you tell me to lead the Jews. Ka'asher yisa ha omen et hayonek. So the Midrash says omen means what? What did he say? You're asking me, if you're asking me why am I complaining, me Moshe Rabbeinu, because Hashem, you're telling me to the Jews like a nursing mother take care of the baby. Okay? So that the Midrash says this is the idea of a pedagogue. Pedagog in Latin means someone being taken care of, fully pampered, fully nurtured, like a baby. A baby can't do anything. You have to change the diaper, feed it, wash it, dress it, everything. So too, the Torah is saying about itself that I was so covered up by Hashem like a nurse, like a baby. Okay? So the commentaries say this hints to the level of the Pshat of the Torah. Pshat of the Torah, when you learn Gemara, for example, Shulchan Aruch, Halacha, if you're not involved totally, you miss one detail, then you can't continue. You can't learn what Rav Ashi is saying and Abai and Ravina. If you just you drift off, I'm doing Daf Yomi, but I'm not really there. You have to be fully involved in learning Pshat. In Halacha also, you miss one detail, the whole thing falls. Pshat requires full attention. So the Torah is saying, Vayeh etzlo Amon, before the time came to be revealed, so I was totally protected, which is referring to the level of the Pshat. The second explanation, Amon, is a pasuk from Megillat Eicha, where it talks about Yirmiyahu is depicting the situation of the starvation in the siege of Yerushalayim by Nebuchadnezzar. So he says there, ha'emunim ale tola, those babies who were wrapped in crimson purple blankets were now dead and just thrown on the ashpot, on the garbage piles. So emunim means like wrapped up. So the commentaries say this is referring to the level of pshat remez, of the remazim. That in a remez, all you have to do is uncover it and you see the connection. That's the idea of remez and amon. Okay? So the Torah is saying the level of remez is saying, it's lo amon, that I was covered up, and before the time of the revelation came, but I was covered up in the level of drash. The third proof is from Megillat Esther, where it says by Mordechai, Vahi omen et hadasa, and the Midrash has a beautiful chidush on this. Omen et hadasa means to hide. What's the context? When Achashverosh sent messengers to find women, even Jewish women, even married women. So when we read in Megillat Esther, Vayi omen et hadasa, what's the normal translation? That Mordechai raised, he nurtured and raised. The Midrash has an amazing interpretation. Vayi omen, and Mordechai hid Hadassah, because they're looking for women, for Achashverosh. So Vayi omen et hadasa, omen means mutzna, referring to the level of the drash, like we said earlier. So drash is hidden. So the Torah is saying, Vayeh etzlo Amon, the level of drash was also kept aside. Fourth explanation, the Midrash says that Amon is rabeta, which means big, vast. And it brings a pasuk from Nehemiah, where Nehemiah is rebuking Egypt, the downfall of Ashur. Ashur. And Nehemiah says to Ashur, you think you're better than Egypt? Hatevti mino Amon. Do you think you're better than No Amon? What's No Amon? The Targum says No Amon means Alexandria Rabata. The city of Alexandria, the big city of Alexandria. What was so special about Alexandria? I'm not connected. Oh boy. Everything just turned off. 1 second. I love this. The Minias. 1 second, sorry. What went off? Light is on. Alexandria is along the Mediterranean coast of Egypt. And like the Gemara says, there's no stronger wall than a seashore. When you have one of the walls of a city that's the sea, that's the best protection. Because while there's Normandy, what happened in Normandy? How many Americans fell because they were just shooting at them, because you're very weak and susceptible when you're coming from the sea. Okay? So Alexandria is called No Amon. No, Amon is Alexandria Rabeta. The word Amon means great, referring to the Sod. Those are 4 levels of the Torah. So the Torah is saying, Vayeh etzlo Amon. The 4 levels of this Torah was kept aside, protected from Hashem, by Hashem, waiting for Har Sinai, waiting for Vav Sivan to be revealed. Davar Acher, the Midrash says the 5th explanation. Al tikre Amon ela Uman. Uman. Al tikre Amon ela Uman. What's Uman? Klei Umanut. Craftsmanship. So the Midrash says that the Torah says about itself, what does it mean? Va'ayeh etzlo Amon. The Torah says about itself, Shayiti klei umanuto shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'briat ha'olam. I was the vessel that Hashem used, the workmanship that Hashem used in creating the world. Okay? The question is, which level of the Torah? The Zohar, the Tikkun Zohar, expands on this 5th explanation. Don't read that the Torah needed to be protected, like the first level, Pshat, Remez, Drash, so that, pedagogue, these levels of Torah, you have to protect them because the world is not ready for the Kedusha of the Torah, so it needs a type of protection because it's weak. So these 4 levels of the Torah, the Midrash says, they need to be protected until Vav Sivan, because the world's not ready. If the Torah is so powerful, what are you worried about? No, we're worried that the concept of the Chitzonim will gain access to the Torah, that the evil side will gain access to the Torah. That applies to the 4 levels of the Torah. Okay? But the 5th taich of the Midrash, that the Torah is saying, I was the blueprint. The Midrash goes on, what does it mean I was the blueprint? When you have an architect, okay? An architect, he's asked to design a building. So what does he do? The Midrash uses the words of diftra. The architect, he draws out a blueprint. No one starts building a beautiful kollel or a shul just like that. Okay, bring the bricks and everything, let's start. Okay, 5 centimeters. You have to draw out a map. You have to make a blueprint. Okay? So the Midrash says, so too, Hashem used the Torah, he looked into the Torah, and he made the whole creation. So the question is, which level? So the Tikkun Zohar says on this 5th level, that Ahiyeh etzlo Amon, the Torah says I was the Kli Umanot of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. The Zohar calls this Amon Mufla, the wondrous craftsmanship, the wondrous workmanship. Mufla, Pele, is a reference to this level called the Keter. Because Mufla translates as what? Mufla mimecha al tidrosh, that which is beyond your grasp. This level of Torah is beyond grasp because it leads the gateway to the highest level of existence of the Torah's of connection to Hashem, which is called Ein Sof. What does that mean basically on a practical level? Or, light. Or is gematria. Aleph is 1, Vav is 6, Reish is 200, 207. Ein Sof is also gematria 207. You got that? What does that mean? Whenever a Yid has some light in his davening, in his learning, in his life, when he's given a boost of light, it comes from the highest level of the Torah's level. It comes from the Keter. It comes to you, and then it's taken away. Sometimes it happens, Rabbi Nachman says that you're in the middle of davening, and all of a sudden a big light is open, and you're saying every single word with dvekis. And then you say to yourself, if only this can always be like this. If only I can daven, saying Baruch Shamar with every word weighed and measured, and I feel every word, if it's only continue. And then the next day, boom, it's taken away, right? One day, for example, you wake up on time for davening, you wake up early, you have a head start, you go to the mikveh early, and shacharit, and word for word, and everything's like a malach, and next day a crash, okay? And it's a scenario that happens again and again in life. When you have an or, where's it coming from? It's coming from this highest level. And the way it deals, its relationship with people is that it shines and then it goes away. But why? Why does it have to work like that? So they say this is in the Pasuk in Shir Shirim, Moshcheni acharecha narutza. What does it mean, Moshcheni acharecha narutza? That Hashem, He sends a light to you to moshech otcha, to draw you in. Hashem sends you a light, and then He takes it away. And what are you expected to do when that happens? Acharecha narutza. Wow, I never knew that such a light in Yiddishkeit existed. I'm going now in all the way. I'll pursue it. You're running after it. You're looking for this higher level of light in your life. This comes from the Keter, okay? The Zohar calls this Amon Mufla, meaning the blueprint of the creation is this level of the Keter. But how the Keter works, like we said, it's not something fixed. To explain, when you're learning Pshat, Remez, Drash Sod, the way you are Koneh Torah, like it says in Pirkei Avot, there's Memchet Kinyanim, there's 48 ways to acquire the Torah. The basic one there is Hatmada. You have to be consistent and you have to keep on going on. A Talmid Chacham doesn't happen overnight. It happens after many years of learning. It's Chumash Rashi, Mishnayot, Gemara, Rashi, Tosfot, whatever, Midrashim, Zohar, whatever he's capable. But it takes a lot of hatmada. It doesn't happen overnight. No one's like a huji-buji gifted neshama that he just opens the farm and everything's opened up in front. No, it doesn't work like that. In Yiddishkeit, it's hashka'ah. You have to invest. That's the beauty of hatmada, that it leads you to a level. But Keter comes with no preparation at all. The light of Keter is it shines into a person, giving him an experience above what he's used to, above his level, shining him such an intensity, and then it's taken away. Why? Like we said, this happens in order for you to realize there's a higher level out there, and you're expected to pursue it now, B'ezrat Hashem. And if you don't, so you're fooling yourself. Because you're saying, I'd rather settle for status quo Yiddishkeit and forget about this light. Let me just try to be like everybody else and work in the darkness. And then you're fooling yourself. Rabbi Nachman says like this, that before Hashem gives the green light to allow big tzaddikim to come down into this world, okay, so it's possible and it's manageable to serve Hashem with the traditional transition of the Torah that we've had for over all these centuries. It's okay. But once he sends a big tzaddik down to the world, so then there's this theory of relativity, zeh le'umat zeh. It becomes impossible to withstand the choshech that comes down with it unless you do connect to these tzaddikim and what they generate. So going back to what we said now, in the situation we are today, where the majority of Yidden are in darkness, okay? And that's after we have so much Torah over the centuries, so much Torah, so how come these Yidden are lost? Because what's needed now is the fifth level of the Torah. Ein malasot. We're now at the end of Galut Edom. We're at the end. So now we're after Pshat, after Remez, after Drash, after Sod. After being drained with the Galut of Edom, whose trick is Medame, fooling people. Right? Rabbi Nachman said we have to give a new name to the Yetzer Hara today. The new name of the Yetzer Hara today is called Koach HaMedame. The one thing that brings down people more than anything else is their distorted imagination. They're picturing something that's not really there and creating a whole AI. It's AI, mamash. Basically now we have AI. Bravo, AI came at the right time, right at the end. AI is coming now with the distortion of the medama, the imagination, and that's what throws off people more than anything else. What's the biggest makkah of the medame? Where a Jew begins to feel and believe, Hashem doesn't need me, He doesn't want me, my tefillin doesn't mean anything, chas v'shalom, my davening doesn't mean, because a person feels so overwhelmed with the obstacles in trying to serve Hashem, so he begins with the medame to begin to think, why should I get up in the morning anyways? It'll make a difference, as if my getting up and saying modani and doing negavaser and going to shul and davening, and it's so hard to daven, I feel like I'm saying words that are stones. This is going to make it, Hashem wants me? This is the makkah of the medame. The majority of Yidden who fell off, or the first one who initiated it, is mainly because feelings of Yehush. Okay? That famous story that I always say it again and again, of those two families who came to Ellis Island in the 1920s. The exact same scenario, Eastern European mishpachas, from families, 4 or 5 children, they get off Ellis Island, they get into New York, and like everybody else, they have to look for parnasa, or else you'll die, or to starve, whatever. So they find a job, and the job is you have to work 6 days a week. What's the day off? Sunday, not Shabbos. And they said, both families, me work on Shabbos? No way. But he's expecting you to come in Saturday morning. So I won't tell him I'm not coming in, okay? So Friday comes, the father, he buys with the money that he got already, he buys the Shabbos food, he borrows money, he mixes for Shabbos, okay? He doesn't show up to work Saturday morning. He comes back to work Monday morning, because Sunday's off. He comes back Monday, the boss says, you're fired. You didn't come Saturday, you're fired. So he puts an X and looks in the job opportunities in the newspaper back in the 1920s, another job opportunity, and doesn't tell that he's not going to work on Shabbos. Okay, and in the meantime, many Jewish families are doing it. So the bosses of the companies in New York, they picked up on it that Jews, they try to hide they're not going to work on Saturday. So it's even harder to find a job. It's number one, the next job, the less opportunities because you have an ex you got fired so many times. Plus that they picked up on the Jewish kun, so they're not going to work on Saturday morning. Okay, so both families after a month ended up in the same scenario, that they had nothing for Shabbos. After having some food for the Shabbos table for a few weeks, they had nothing on their table. So look at the different reactions. One family, the first guy, the father couldn't handle the kids crying, Tati, where's the challah? Where's the fish? Where's the kiddush? He couldn't handle it. He couldn't handle that they were crying and the pressure got to him. By next week, he did work on Shabbos. Okay? And that family, he lost all of his kids. They all assimilated. They all fell off. The other guy, okay, he came to the same scenario. There's no food at the table, okay? And the kids also begin to cry. And the father puts on a smile on the face. And he said, my kid, he takes his kinderlech, he puts him on his lap. And he says, kinderlech, Hashem wants us on this Shabbos to be rak b'simcha. We're going to sing and only singing this Shabbos. That's all we have. That's what Hashem wants. And the simcha that the father was so self-confident in emunah that this is what Hashem wants, was so strong that the kids accepted it. Even though they're hungry, whatever, he was able to give them this message of simcha and emunah. And he had miracles. Another job opened up. A firm decided to open up a company for all these Jews who lost their jobs. Let's start our own company. He had a job. He doesn't work on Shabbos. He saved his kids. They got a good education. They became Talmidei Chachamim. It's a famous story that's known, okay? This is the problem of this generation. The Medame, the first father, I can't handle my kids, the pressure, what am I going to do, and this and that. And the weakness of the test, because oh my God, he went to work on Shabbos, and that led to the domino effect of everything else. And any other case like that, where the imagination fools you, how are you going to make it, how are you going to do it? And all these tests of emunah and bitachon, because of the imagination driving you nuts, this is the galut of Edom. So we're now at the end. People have been drained. It's 250 years. We need a higher level now. Thank you for the pshat, thank you for the Gemara, but it's not enough to give me chayut. I don't have the chayut. There are people who have chayus. I live next to Meir Yeshiva. I see thousands and thousands of reichim every day. Ashreim, they're lucky, beautiful. They have chayus, they're able to go on. But Am Yisrael, the rest of them, what? They're chopped liver? Ashdod, Ashkelon, Kansas City, Iowa, Taiwan, all the Yidden all over. What about them? No, our Torah will influence them. But I'm sorry, the ratio is not moving. There has to be something that we can do. This is accessing the fifth level of the Torah. It's called the Keter. It's this level of the Pele. Now, going now to Rabbi Nachman. Where does Rabbi Nachman come into all of this? The same time that this started, this assimilation, Reform Judaism, because of the pressure of Galut Edom, if you want to call it, if you notice, Zelu Matzeh, what came at the same time as the Haskalah movement, all these things? Chassidus, Chassidut. The Baal Shem Tov came, the whole thing of the Baal Shem Tov was to get every Jew to feel connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Even the giants, the bathrooms and everything, and he has no shaykh to dveikut and feeling godliness. The Baal Shem Tov, with the teachings of Chassidut, was able to take from the highest level of Ein Sof and bring it down so that every Yid can feel a varmkeit. They feel, I'm also part of the picture. Hashem wants my Shabbos tish, Hashem wants my tefillin, Hashem wants my davening. I have a value. Even if I can't learn the best, I want to learn, but I don't know what to do. And the Yetzirah and the Galut Edom is trying to tell me you're nobody. Okay, enough. So Chassidut came to give another chance from a higher level. Rabbi Nachman said about himself a very powerful statement. He said, Ani ish Pele v'nishmati Pele gadol. It's a statement in his book Chai Moharan. He said about himself, I am a man of Pele, a man of the Pele. Pele, this level of the Keter. And my soul is even a greater Pele. Okay? What's the idea here? That his Torah that he came to reveal is to help connect even the farthest people, those who've transgressed the entire Torah 700 times, 800 times, to show them such a light that can penetrate even them, that they're in the picture, that Hashem loves them. Hara'aya, ask anybody who's open with a sincere, honest perspective, any sefer of Rabbi Nachman, especially his Likutei Moran, open anywhere, and ask anyone who, from a sincere perspective, just open to learn them, they will say that this is talking directly to me. This is exactly what I'm going through. For the Torah, that's for sure in the Torah also. That's in the Chumash, that's in the Tanakh, that's in the Mishnah, that's in the Gemara, Talmud Bavli, Talmud Yerushalmi, Midrash, Zohar, Kabbalah, Ketuvei Ari, that's everywhere. But you need the zchut for this to happen. You need the right prescription of lens to be able for that, to see that to happen. But by Chassidut, you don't have to look so deep. You just start learning it. Wow, this is me. This is talking to me. This is the level of the Pele, okay? This is what people are looking for now. This is the phenomena of now. There's a resurgence, if you want to say, in all sects, in the Litvish sects, and the Karlebach groups, and the Dati Leumi, the Mizrahi, and the Sfardim, the Teimanim. People are thirsty. They're thirsty, and the Torah, as we have it handed down, is not enough. Hara'aya, they're falling off. You have the minority holding on, the majority are falling off. So what to do? But they're learning Torah. Hama'or shebe'ah yachzirotam, the light in the Torah. Yeah, but I have to access the ma'or. The or is exclusively to the Ein Sof. Or is Gematria Ein Sof. When it says Hama'or sheba, the light in the Torah will bring them back. Which ma'or sheba? That level that's called or, which is the level of Ein Sof, this high level. So this explains why people who have fallen off, they somehow end up their way to Breslov and Rabbi Nachman's teachings because they found finally something that relates to them. So instead of looking at him, he's a miskan, he's a nebech, he goes to Breslov because, poor one. Anyways, nothing. Ajaba, you try to help him then. Let's see. You tried with your attitude of Shas and Poskim and Darshanim and Mikubalim and everything, and nothing's helping. What do you want? Nothing's helping. And now we find something that opens up light. It gives me meaning in my life. I have a value now. When I wake up in the morning, I now can say Moda'ani fully. As opposed to the guy, for example, you have a guy, he wakes up, he set his alarm clock to wake up at 6 in the morning or 7, and instead he wakes up at 10. So he wakes up like Oscar the Grouch. He goes, and he gets out of bed, he doesn't say Moda'ani. I tell people like that, when that happens, go back to bed. And go back to bed and say now Moda'ani, and then get out of bed. If you get out of bed like Oscar the Grouch, because you woke up late and everything, go back to bed, say Moda'ani, and then get out. Right? Fine. So now, Rabbi Nachman reveals, how do you access now this Pele? How do you maintain it? Okay, because we said, even in Rabbi Nachman's teachings, there's a light, and then it's taken away. Okay. What can you do to access the level of Pele on a frequent basis? So he teaches that Simcha is the key to accessing the level of this keter. And it's hinted to in a pasuk. This pasuk is brought down the Gemara, Psachim, Daf Pechet. The Gemara talks about when the Jews said, Naaseh ve'nishma, 600,000 angels came and put 2 ktarim. You always wonder what those ktarim are. There's 2 crowns on the head of every yid, one for Naaseh, one for Nishma. And when there was Cheta Egel, so 1,200,000 angels came down and took away the crowns. But Hashem atid lachzir otam, shene'emar, ve'simchat olam al rosham. The Gemara goes on, but Hashem is going to give back, restore these crowns, these ktarim, which is the light we're talking about, this level of the Torah, right? Because like the pasuk says, ve'simchat olam al rosham. Pshat is the simcha that was always there, simchat olam. The simcha of the Torah, this light, will be back on their heads. So Rav Nosson explains this pasuk like this. You want to access the keter, al rosham, the keter, the secret to that is v'simchat olam. What is simchat olam? The simcha that you try to build up even while stuck in this upside down world. Simchat olam. You try to do mitzvot b'simcha even when everything is upside down. Okay, you put on your talis and tefillin, and you put it on, and you just did it, but still, you're able to say, wow, thank you Hashem, I appreciate I have a hakarat hatov that I put on my tefillin, even though I didn't put it on with the right kavanot and everything. But still, there was a nekuda, a pintele point of the mitzvah, and on that I have every reason and every right to be the happiest person in the world. I daven in the morning, my davening. Look at my davening. Only when I got to Ashrei after the Shmoneh Esrei did I realize that I was davening. Right, the famous story of the Berdichever. The Yitzchak Berdichev, he went up to one of the people davening after davening, and he said, "Shalom Aleichem, Baruch Haba." He said, "We mean Shalom Aleichem, Baruch Haba." I was there the whole time. He said, "Yes, you're here, but when you were davening, your mind dozed off to Minsk, to Leipzig, to other. So I'm welcoming you back. You came back now, so I'm saying Baruch Haba, right?" That's the person. He's off. He's off in his davening. So a person begins to say, "My davening, my davening." I don't even know what I'm saying. I don't even remember what I said. Afilu hachi. I'm davening because I have to daven. Anshe Knesset Agdola, they obligated me to daven Shachar, Mincha, Maariv. I have to daven, and I have to make the best out of it. I try to make the best out of it. But when I don't, so what? Just because now I didn't daven with Kavan, I have to daven a second time? Halacha is today, we don't let a person daven another Tfilat Nedava, because we're worried, just like he didn't have Kavan the first time, he's going to lose out the second time, okay? So what does that mean? That means my first time davening did count. Because if it didn't count, I would have been obligated to daven a second time. So the fact that they say you daven, it's enough, that means it counts. Even if I didn't have kavanah in anything, it counts. There's certain things you have to have kavanah. Like in the Sekrat Shema, you have to have kavanah in the first verse. If not, you have to keep on saying it again. Poteach et yadech, you have to have kavanah. If not, you have to say it again. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the whole davening where a person feels bad about it, okay? Simcha, simchat olam. With simchat olam, what do you get? Al Rosham. You get to this level of the Keter. So now, 5 major advices how to build simcha constantly. Number one, mila deshtuta. This Rav Nosson says all this in the Kutalachot, Birkat Oda Chavav. Number 1 is a Jew has to tell jokes. Okay, I told already one joke. I have 3 more jokes to tell you right now. Okay, just you have to be besimcha. How do we know that the door to Tevat Noach was the mikveh revolving door? You know the mikveh door, the revolving door? How do we know that Tevat Noach had a revolving door, mikveh door? Because the pasuk said shnaim. They went in 2 at a time. Joke number 2. How many smartphones was there on Tevat Noach? 2 non-kosher and 7 kosher. Third joke. Rashi says that the Yonah that Noach sent out was a zachar. He doesn't prove it, but he says sometimes the lashon is nekeva, sometimes it's zachar. How do we know that the Yonah was a zachar, not nekeva? Because it says that the Yonah came back with alezait taraf befia. It came back with an olive branch. If it was a female, she couldn't keep her mouth closed for that long until it comes back. Okay. Oh, that was good. Shem Rachem. Okay. Mila deshtuta, telling jokes, and it's silly. You're not the guy in the back. You're not laughing. That's not good. You have to smile a little. Sorry. He's not smiling. Please smile. Okay. Mila deshtuta. You laugh because it's stupid, it's silly, but at least it caused a smile. And mitoch, you have also mitoch shelo lishma ba lishma, from a silly, ridiculous laughter and joke, it brings you to real simcha. He said, in fact, Rabbi Nachman, the way people are so much be'atzvus, people are cold and you go on the bus, the subway, everyone's like, they're going for sure Tisha B'Av. But that Yidden also, Shem Rachem, get influenced from the galut and they're also sad. You need a boost of simcha, a big boost. And the way things are, Rabbi Nachman says, it seems that the main way to get people happy is acting silly and telling jokes, okay? That's the main way. And this is meant to give you a positive feeling that can boost you now to the true simcha, the simcha of the Torah, the simcha of mitzvah performance, the simcha and your connection to Hashem, okay? That's number 1. Number 2, is yes, dancing, putting on Avram Fried, whatever you like, putting on Yishai Ribu, I don't know what you guys like, putting on some music that makes you feel good and happy. If it's a nigga that makes you start moving, right? If it's Jewish trance music, I don't know, whatever gets you moving. But dancing and clapping your hands in Breslov communities all over the world, there's the minhag to dance every day after Shacharis and Mariv. After the davening, they take hand to hand, everybody, the older people, the younger people, they dance just to be yotze, the idea of dancing, okay? And it's moving, it's nice, they sing nice melodies, it makes you feel good. Putting on music is a big thing. Nigun corresponds to tanta. You have in the Sefer Torah, you have ta'amim, nekudot, right? Tagim, otiyot. Am I correct? Ta'amim, nikodot, tagim, otiyot. So they say these correspond to the 4 levels, 4 worlds. From the lowest is otiyot, and the highest is ta'amim. Ta'amim, the trop, the nigun. Nigun is from a higher level. That's why nigun, you can get, sometimes where you can't get to somebody with words, you can get to them with a nigun. That's the whole idea of a kumzitz, of a tish, where the music gets you in a trance. Oh my God, right? So that's music as an arousal for simcha. Number 3, Rabbi Nachman's very famous and powerful fundamental teaching of you have to find your good points. You have to find the good points. Okay, you don't say, like we said, my davening is no value and this and that. You have to tell yourself, even subconsciously, no, there's a value. There's a value. Because if you think the negative, so it'll stay there, God forbid. But if now you sift out, it's not as bad. You tell yourself, it's not as bad. And it's not easy. It's easier said than done. But it's a work. It's an avodah. But it works that a person, by finding the good points, it keeps him in a positive frame of mind, even if everything's crashing. Even if he crashed already and he said the wrong thing and he got upset and he blew up, he can get back up by from this point on, I'm going to find the Nikud Tovot. Even if I keep on falling again and again, the idea of Nikud Tovah is I pick up myself with a pin to it. Just 1 point. 1 point. That's all I care about. 1 point. That's all I'm looking for. The minimum. Okay? That's point number 3. Number 4, which is connected to Chanukah. Right? Al Anisim, anachnu modim, hoda'ah. Yemei hoda'ah. Hoda'ah is such a powerful force. Such a powerful force in life. To give thanks. Thank you, Hashem. It's so powerful, when you are in the consistency, you're in the hergel of always saying thank you, Hashem, thank you for this. It becomes a part of you. You become a piece of shtickle of hoda'ah, of giving Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving tomorrow, right? We're on time. Inyan Adiyoma, right? Thanksgiving is a big, it's a Jewish zach that they have it as a national holiday, but it's a Jewish inyan to give thanks to Hashem. And that is a big push, because you begin to see, I know from how I am, Hashem, I don't deserve anything. I don't deserve to say your name. I don't deserve to say a word of prayer, right? I don't deserve anything, and I appreciate that. That's hoda'ah. When you're coming from the perspective that when does a person get upset? Well, I deserve to have gotten up on time. I deserve to daven properly. I deserve it. Magiali, I deserve it. No, I don't deserve it. That's the whole thing. Because I know I don't deserve it. I know I am. I know how I act. And Hashem, in relationship to that you're so kind to me, you let me put on tefillin. Tefillin is called Kitra de Malka, Hashem's crown. I'm putting on your crown, Kitra de Malka. Me, little me, yes, that's hoda'ah. And number 5, like we said earlier, looking at the final end. That you know that everything's going to work out. You're living in future mode. We don't tell a person, don't live in the, you're not living in the present reality. Our reality is that it's connected to the future. That's our reality. That's what makes the present have a value, and the true reality that it's connected to the future, okay? These 5 ways are the key to building simcha. And in Breast of Circles, by the way, they say there's 5 devotions that can also build up this simcha. And it's hinted to in the pasuk from Megillat Esther. Rayudim hayta ora v'simcha. I hope you like this. I hope you won't take it personally, whoever didn't do it, okay? Ora is Rashi Tevot Uman Rosh Hashanah. Ora, Aleph Vav Resh. Simcha, they say like this. Sin, which is like Shin, is Shulchan Aruch. Mem is Mikveh. Chet is Chatzot. Hey is Hitbodedut. To explain, Shulchan Aruch is such a fundamental learning. It's minimal. If a person learns other things at the expense of halacha, he's missed it. The whole goal is halacha, believe it or not. What is halacha? Halacha is clarification. It's now making a psak, what's permissible, what's forbidden, what's kosher, what's non-kosher, what's pure, what's unpure. Halacha makes a berur. It makes and what that does to you is inside the turmoil that you're going through in life, everything's mixed up with frustration. Since everything is rooted in the Torah, so once you make a psak, you learn the halacha. Tefillin has to be put like this, the mezuzah has to be like this, kashrut, basar b'chalav has like this. Automatically, it makes also the rippled effect of a separation, of a clarification inside of you. Phenomenal. It's the root of what you're going through is rooted in the psak of halacha. So learning a psak halacha, it makes clarification. And when you have clarification in life, that's simcha. When you know what's the problem, like the Maggid Mizrach says, knowing what the problem is already 50% of the solution. When you know what the worst thing is, you don't know what's going on. I have no idea. The doctors don't know how to diagnose what I'm going through. So the panic and the trauma and the worry you're going through is making you nuts. When you finally find what's the problem, now we know what to do. At least I know what to do, what the problem is. So it's a nechama, it's a simcha, okay? Mikveh is something very powerful. Mikveh for men we're talking about. Because mikveh is from Lashon Tikva, hope. Mikveh is something so simple, but it does a lot. There's a story I said many times of Rav Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld, who was the chief rabbi of Yerushalayim. He wasn't a chassid, but he was going to the mikveh every day. And when Rav Issa Zalman Meltzer from Slobodka came to Yerushalayim, one of the biggest Rashi Yeshivot in Lithuania who came, to Yerushalayim, and he found out that the chief rabbi of Yerushalayim is doing like the chassidim, going to the mikveh every day. So he said, "What is this? The chief rabbi of Yerushalayim, you became a chassid? You're like a chassid now? You're going to the mikveh every day?" So he said to him like this: "Listen, if a mikveh can transform a goy into a yid, so just imagine what it can do to a yid. Just imagine, think about it. If it could turn a goy into a yid, that's the final stage, is the mikveh. So just imagine what it can do to a yid already." He heard it, he accepted it, and he started going to the mikveh also. People don't know this. Rabbi Shazam Notzer, he also started going to the mikveh every day. Okay? Mikveh, it's something simple, but what it does is it makes you like a bria chadasha. You're brand new. You're brand new. Rabbi Nachman said, the erchte is mikveh. The first thing is mikveh. What does that mean? That before anything, go to the mikveh. Get all the klipot, all the excesses that are attached to you, get them off. Get them off. I have a joke on the side. The people like going to the mikveh to shmooze. Like you can hear the latest news in the mikveh, right? What's happening, everything. So what happens when you go to the mikveh, as soon as you're going into the mikveh, all the klipot go off of you. Where do they go, the klipot? They stay in the air there. So those people who take too much time in the mikveh, so the other guy's klipot go onto him because he's sitting there wasting his time talking and everything. So that's why it's an inyan, litbol velatzet. You go to the mikveh, chick-chack, go in, get out. Don't start schmoozing and everything because you take the other guy's klippas. Okay. All right, that's mikveh. And that brings simcha. And hey, acharon chaviv is hitbodedut. There's no greater simcha. Huh? Chatzot. Sorry. Chatzot. Someone who's not tasted chatzot doesn't know yet really what is this light we're talking about. It's unbelievable. Taste, try, for a guy who tries the first time getting chatzot, what happens normally? So the inyan is to get up for chatzot, not to stay up until chatzot. What's chatzot, by the way? Chatzot, it says in the beginning of the Shulchan Aruch that every Jew who has a taint of Yot Shamayim should get up early and mourn over the Beit HaMikdash, okay? And the Mefarshim bring down from the Arizal that this is referring to Kimat Chatzot. Now the inyan is to get up, not to stay up till Chatzot, but to Kimat. Why? You're breaking your sleep, which is 1/60th of death. You're breaking it to wake up. Most people, it's almost impossible because how their life schedule is organized. But it's kedai, because that to aim maybe once a month, once every 2 weeks, once a week to say, I'm going to just start with this. But what normally happens when a person starts trying to get chatzot, so the first time he does it, oh my head, I can't do this. He has a headache. It's a pain headache. What's needed is like maybe 2-3 times to get used to it. But what happens is if you have a chance to get up chatzot, and those are 2 hours from midnight, and they last for 2 hours, being up at those 2 hours, the quality of the Torah study, Rav Chaim Vital writes, is like enhanced 1,000 times. And on Shabbos night, after Chatzot, it's like 10,000 times more. It's unbelievable. But the quality of Torah study, of davening, of any type of davening, Tehillim, Hitbodedut, which we'll go into, is so magnified, and the connection you have to Hashem is so powerful, you won't find it any other time in the day. Those 2 hours are exceptional. It's something special to take at least once on the blue moon to get into it, to have some shaykh to it. And this brings a major simcha. We mourn over the Chorban Beit HaMikdash, and then we say at the end, Lasum la'avele Tzion pe'er tachat efer. After the mourning I went through, Hashem will give those who mourn over Yerushalayim pe'er, which is a format of simcha. Okay? And the last thing we said is hitbodedut. Hitbodedut is something so powerful. When you have a burden on your heart and you let it out, the consolation you have when you're able to talk to Hashem, what you're going through, and just pour it out, it generates a level of simcha so powerful that mamash, you feel, I thank you, Hashem. It seems, Hashem, everything I went through in life was to squeeze me enough that I should open up myself to you. And that's what Hashem was waiting for, right? Karov Hashem lechol korav, lechol asher yikaru ve'emet. Hashem is close to all those who call to Him, who call to Him in truth, calling out in truth. This is the true calling out in truth is when the words are coming from you, from your inner essence. So in a nutshell, these are the 5 drachim they say is a key to simcha, and simcha is the key. Simchat olam al rosham, and B'ezrat Hashem with simcha we will come out of our galut b'simcha tetzeu, and we should be zocher B'ezrat Hashem to have this Pele revealed through simcha. B'ezrat Hashem. Now, just as quickly, one final leg. All these ideas we mentioned about the keter and the simcha, all this is taken from a lesson from Rabbi Nachman, lesson 24 of the Likutei Moharan, where he goes into this. How Breslov literature works is fascinating. As you learn it, first of all, you see the connection, but the more you learn it, the more you begin to activate it. Okay? That's what's one level. Second level is that when you daven about these ideas, you bridge from potential to actual. So we have 2 books in Breslov literature. One is Rabbi Nachman's Likutei Moharan, which Rav Nosson wrote out an abridged version of the actual points of the concepts. And we have another book called Likutei Tfilot, which are prayers on these lessons. These 2 are necessary. It's like, for example, a guy, God forbid, that person has like a skin disease on his elbow. So he goes to the pharmacy, he buys this very expensive cream that they talk about, whatever, $100 cream, okay? He bought it. All right, I have the cream, but he has to apply it. You bought the cream, you have the cream in your hand, but you have to apply it. So too, the Torah concepts that Rabbi Nachman reveals activates a remedy, and then davening about it directs it to where the makkah is, where the ailment is needed. So we prepared here, if you don't mind passing this out, a QR scan of anyone who wants. We made a PDF file of this lesson. I was here a year ago. We presented a 40-day challenge, and it didn't work out. People didn't do it because it was too heavy. It was too much. So we designed it in a 40-day chart. It takes about 1 or 2 minutes a day, not even, of learning, reciting. There's rules on the first page how to do it. Reciting the piece of the lesson, and then reciting Rav Nosson's prayer on the lesson. Set out for 40 days. The goal is to begin to see changes in your life in the area of simcha and in the area of the keter. That the light of the Torah of the keter is shining into you. Can someone pass this around your mind? That's the first QR scan over there. You can see that. And on the page is a second QR scan to help support us in what we're doing. This is called Breslov Therapy. There's a lot of expenses on what we're doing here in spreading these classes, coming to America, researching, preparing these classes. So anyone who'd like to help sponsor with a U.S. tax deductible donation would be appreciated. Thank you very much. And Tiskele Mitzvot. Chazak u'Baruch.